Simon Phillips. Thank you so much for coming on the Inner Edison Podcast. Appreciate you being here. Sorry I didn't throw your middle name in there. Was I supposed to?
I don't mind. I include it, but I take either one.
Well, your pod match only says Simon Phillips.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have to update that.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So we were talking before we went live. You're in New Zealand. I assume you've always been in New Zealand because you have that good accent.
Yeah. Yeah. Born and raised here, small town called Palmerston North. It was fun. I lived abroad for a year. I went and spent a year in Melbourne and Thailand. And then kind of came home and moved back in with mum when I ran out of money, And then most of my life I've lived in Auckland. I've had some ups and downs. So which is like the biggest city, and I would kind of move. And then when I imploded, I'd go back to mum, and then I'd, move back up. And now I'm still here in Auckland, New Zealand today.
And what do you do? I mean, what's your background? Because I read your stuff about having different things, but what is kind of give me your story a little bit.
Yeah, cool. The short version is I do e-commerce.
Okay.
I started my first brand when I was 19, called Fitwear, and it's basically fitness apparel, running Facebook ads. This is back in the day, like 2011. You kind of press boost. I don't know if you're around at the time.
I wasn't doing it then, but you still can hit boost these days.
Yeah, you can. It's just a different type of boost. Yeah. You would kind of, as long as you rolled your face across the keyboard in the right direction, money would pour out of the screen at you. It was crazy. And so I did really well. That brand sold half at 23, got like 1.1 mil, and like small town kid, no business in the family or whatever. I was like, oh, sweet. So like, I'm done. Like, I didn't know how I could ever possibly spend all that money. And 2 years on from that, I had fucked it up, lost everything. And I was on bail, living at home, 200 grand in debt after like having run through all the cash and getting into debt. And then I had no money to start a brand. So I started an agency, and my objective was like, I had a lot of agencies through that period while I destroyed my business. And they looked me in the eye at the end of it and were like, oh, and we did a good job. We fulfilled our deliverables. But I'm going, well, the business is dead. What do you mean? Like, that doesn't make sense. And so that, I didn't really realize at the time, it was probably a seminal moment for me, because my career since then has been, how can I provide brand owners a different experience? And so at first it was a profit sharing agency, and that grew and that went well, got up to 85 team members. And then Meta's continued to get harder and harder. Primarily, that's where we've driven most of our success with Meta ads. And so today, we pivoted the agency, basically dissolved it. And so today we have the E Commerce Accelerator, and I help brands build in their own internal agency. So we build their systems, train their team, recruit for any skill gaps, and then coach them through implementing it themselves. Because when you're in-housing, you get better cost efficiency and control. And so, yeah, it's kind of been the journey. Brand owner, did well, lost it. Agency owner, did well, lost it. And now accelerator owner. And hopefully have done the internal work to calibrate so that I can actually hold on to the wealth this time round, which is probably it's the thing I'm working on the most this year or the last couple of years. I realized, like, okay, 3 times in a row, you've built like these $1 million businesses and then you destroy them. Like, maybe we should try something different.
What's wrong?
What's wrong? Like, why the fuck is this happening to me? Like, and hating myself for it, like lots of guilt and pain and shame. And
let all that go.
Yeah.
Let all that guilt go. Just deal with things happen. Now if you're doing it 20 times, then you start worrying about it.
Yeah.
So when you're talking e-commerce and you're talking building people's agencies, and I'm not diminishing it, but are you using high level?
No. So what we do is,
because I don't know what it's like over there in New Zealand. So I'm just, because a lot of people with agencies, they use a lot of go high level, and that's how they're building their agencies over here.
Yeah. So we were on go high level. I didn't really like it very much.
What year were you on it?
Last year we moved from it to Pipe Drive, but I wasn't using the full features of it. And when I say I'm building brands and internal agency, that's kind of my angle. Like, what we build for e-commerce brands and internal agency, they own. But basically what we're doing is building them an elite in-house team. So we're building, but the way we frame it is like agencies are struggling to get results in the new world. You don't have to talk to many business owners to go, hey, like, what's the experience you've had with the last 5 agencies you've worked with? And so what we do is go into a brand and go, hey, let's equip you with the same systems, the same team, the same capability that an agency would have to run your meta ads, your conversion rate optimization, your email marketing, the whole gambit. And then, hey, if you still want to work with them, cool. You know enough to be dangerous. You can hold them to account. You're not going to get this like kind of metrics waffle when things aren't going right. You know, you're like, but hold on, like we've only done 8 creative variations this week. What's that about? So basically we give brands the opportunity to not need an agency whatsoever.
Okay, so you help them with have an internal team at the brand place to actually do all what agencies would do for them.
Correct.
So you train them for that. Yeah, because I see that. I mean, in my industry, I'm in the mortgage industry, and we were bombarded over the last so many years with agencies, and they would tell you they'd do this for you and this for you, but then they wouldn't tell you that they're only using this amount of your money for the advertising part of it.
Yeah,
they're pocketing the rest of it.
Oh, and it goes deeper than that. Like I've done this like agency P&L expose, but there's the cash that actually flows, and you know what it's like. Someone else's money, you spend it differently. That's like the biggest thing. Then you spend it way differently. And it was okay when Meta was so good that like the CPMs were so low. It worked, you know? And then typically what I see from most agencies is less than 30% of let's say 50% max, but usually around 30% of the cash that you're paying in the retainer is actually flowing through to the person doing the technical implementation. And that's a big chunk, you know, but you got Christmas parties and you got staff and you got recruitment and you got ads and you got sales teams and you got profit and you got all these things. And so you're getting squeezed in 2 areas. You've got these base inefficiencies where I have to try and equip you with 10 years of product knowledge and brand understanding and all this stuff that I have an advantage with. And then every dollar I spend you, 30% is going to go to the technical staff. So it's like, it's not actually hard to outcompete that model. If I give you the right systems, equip you with the IP and help you train the right people, like now it's your money. You've got your brand and product knowledge, and 100% of the cash flows to the technical staff.
Well, I try to explain to people the reason that whatever brand you go to now is so adamant about getting your email and phone number by giving you 10% off on everything. Every time you go, here's 10% off. Let me get this from you, because they don't want to do social media stuff anymore because it's so costly. You have no control over it. They want to build their own list and have that list to where it is not going to cost them to acquire new customers.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize that, because I want to spend money on Facebook, Google ads. And I'm like, what a waste to a certain point. I mean, I'm on talk radio. So that tells you how old I am when it comes to stuff.
Does it work?
But I think I've always said the old ways always work better, and you need to do a little of everything.
Yeah. So my view on that would be, go with the leverages, right? And so for a long, like if you got into meta ads for lead gen for mortgage broking in 2015 or 16, and you just ran some simple ads to a nice landing page and you did it reasonably well, you're rich. Like you would have crushed it. You would absolutely crushed it. But like all good things, especially in marketing, they get squeezed, right? They get squeezed. So I'm always going like, what's your core channel? That's meta right now. There's no, for us, at least in e-commerce, and even you don't want to be reliant on it, but it's so far, it's still, even in its the state it's in today, it's still so much better than everything else in terms of its scalability and all of that jazz. But you got to be looking like what's next, you know? So in my industry, it's like, is it these influencer live shopping events? Is it organic starting to get blown open because it doesn't matter how many followers you've got. If your reel isn't good, it's not getting reach. So now hold on a minute, like follower count doesn't matter. Whoa. So organic content might be king. You know, Gary Vee's talking a lot about that at the moment, like the resurgence of organic content. So it's like, you got to have your core channel, and then you should have 10, 20% out there in this new thing. And then you compare it against core channel and go, hold on a minute, I'm getting X result from Y input, and then shift. And then that may become primary channel. So
Simon, I totally agree with you because what I've seen just by there's people who do really well with small audiences because they're talking to their audience. I think the biggest thing you need to do is niche down to who your client is and know who your perfect client is, and also go hyper local of what you're trying to do. The big brands are going to lose it because of AI and everything else going on. People want to know who they're talking to, who they can see, who they're going to touch. I feel it's going to go back to the way it used to be prior to what we just went through because of multiple things besides the pandemic and the AI coming out. Now you have no idea who you're talking to. Are you really a real person or are you a robot?
yeah,
Technically. Yeah.
yeah, and it's
And I could be
and
wrong, but I see it that way. It's
I don't
just
think I don't think you're wrong. I mean, and that's a universal truth. Flared jeans are not cool. Flared jeans are cool. Everything oscillates. That like there's the big bang, there's the black hole. That's like it up and down the chain.
right.
That happens. So I absolutely completely agree. And the thing that we do with our brands, like just to give you an example from e-commerce again, is like it used to be enough to talk to kind of everyone ish. And now we go, what's your target customer
Yep.
specifically? Is she a first time mum? What's the first time mum pain point? And you've got to speak with like specific, exact clarity to her journey, her pain points, her problems,
Yep.
and make it work. There's a brand called Loop earplugs, and they sell earplugs that I'm sure you can make for a couple bucks. And they're selling these things for like $60, $70. They've scaled, I think, from like 0 to 150 million a year in like 4 or 5 years. It's crazy, the growth story. And you look in there, we did a big deep dive on their funnels, and they are running essentially like 12 ad libraries in one. So there's Loop earplugs, but they have a full-blown creative system, set of marketing angles, set of content, funnel, landing page, email sequence for couples, for the person that goes to the rave, for the office worker that commutes. So that exact thing, like even the big businesses are doing that, but they're aggregating it. They're
Right.
speaking really specifically to a tight audience, and that's you. If you're not doing that today, you're just drowned out. There's just you just don't have the cut through because everyone's so polluted, right? Like that we've been like so aggressively marketed to for so long. I think these people are fatigued by it. So if you don't get a message that's precise for you that you can trust, just poof, through
Yeah.
that goes through the filter.
Because I used to be hyper. To a certain forever. There was only I'm a vet. I used to only work with vets when it come to mortgages, and I did really well back years ago. And then I branched off because I got bigger company, big everything else. And now it's like, okay, I had just going. There's 3 people I deal with on that I only want to deal with, and so I've done all my marketing just to those 3 people, and it's been a huge difference just in the last 30 days. And it was something I've been telling other people to do, but I finally, because we're all worried about if I take everybody out, I'll get nobody. No, they can't hear you unless you're talking to them.
Yeah,
So this is how I learned it on radio. You can't say listeners. You have to talk to you, the one person. Because if you say listeners, they go, oh, they're talking to that person over there. They're not talking to me.
yeah.
And that's the
So,
same thing.
so was military was that too broad of a niche? You've gone deeper into that. So when you say the 3 people, who are they
So,
now?
veterans, business
Yep.
owners, and reverse mortgages, which is for people 62 years and older who are having on a fixed income and they can't afford to keep their house and because they don't make enough money. So I can set them up to where they can stay in the house for the rest of their life until they pass away, and there's still money left over to their heirs. So
Yeah. What if you went, I only work with veteran business owners with
I
reverse
already do that too. I do that too.
yeah, because that's the
But the
ticket.
problem with that is that I
That
do
too
so
small.
1% of all businesses is a veteran owned.
Right.
It's a very limited amount, and so you're right. That's when you take 2 niches and you dissect, they cross, and that is where you really want to get to. And that is my perfect client because and there's a lot of them,
Yeah.
but and so I've been niching down even more, and I can niche down to that one also, and that is because I do another podcast called Helping the Brave, and I do
Oh,
this one, which is your greatest accomplishments come from your greatest defeats. Well, my Helping the Brave has become a veteran centric but with people who own businesses who are veterans also. So that whole thing has been coming together and niching. If you see the Operation Firewalk down there by my name, we put on a firewalk for veterans last year to walk across at like a Tony Robbins event. And we actually had a guy who worked for Tony Robbins for 22 years and ran his firewalks, ran that part of it. And we had a bunch of veterans show up and we had them go through 2 days, 2 separate days. This year we're doing it again in May, one day for everybody to show up, but it changes lives and it's huge.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
You know, and so things like, and it's all about community, you know, getting your little community groups together is how you compete against the big guys. Then they come in and buy you.
Yeah.
To pick up all those people.
Dude, there's so many jumping off points in there. I want to launch into all of
it. It's your podcast.
Yeah. Can I ask first, what were you, what military branch were you in? What were you?
I was in the Navy.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. I was a corpsman in the Navy. So basically a medic. My son's actually in the Army. He's a medic in the Army. He was a combat medic. He's still in. He's over in Korea right now. But it's amazing. So when I used to be in San Diego, you know where San Diego is, you've heard of it. Okay.
Yeah.
So many military people, constant, you know, and other bases. I moved to Northern California. We've gotten rid of most of our bases up here. But there's still a lot of veterans. And I was like, okay, it's more limited, blah, blah, blah. If I go too niche down, I'm not going to get enough business. Not true. I'm now telling all I talk about in all my, because I do 13 shows a week. One of them's radio. 5 of them are daily, just talking about real estate and finance on a live LinkedIn, YouTube and stuff. And I say, just send me your veterans. That's all I want. I want your veterans. Send me your veterans. I'll take good care of them. And that's all I want to work with. And since I've said that, 85% of my business has turned into that.
Yeah, beautiful. And the psychological base of that whole thing is we don't intuitively understand scale, right? The ability, the body's ability that's evolved over hundreds of millions of years to survive in the wilderness doesn't understand what scale can do. And we're attuned to loss prevention, you know? All the guys that were like, nah, we'll go to that valley. They'll be like, and we'll just do those berries. They all died, right? And so that there's this just a feeling that comes up because I've been able to, for many years, advise my clients aggressively to niche down, but I wasn't able to do it for myself.
That's me too, dude.
Yeah, because it's easy to give the right advice because you get it and you understand it, but then but I'm going to lose out on all that stuff. And the body's so attuned to that loss prevention, the emotional, it's hard. It's hard to go, no, I'm going to ignore 99, 97% of the market and I'm going to 10x my business. What? It doesn't intuitively make sense, but it happens every time. like that experience you're describing happened to me, happens to everyone. Yeah, that's really cool. Because when you do the math on the scale, it's like, I don't know what the math is, but how many veterans there are. I don't know if there's 8 million of them or
there's a lot of them. It's about 6% of the population.
6% of 350 million. So that's kind of 22. So if you get 0.1,
there's enough of them.
There's enough, right? Like you get
another friend of mine. He helps sell businesses, and he is now only working with veterans business owners.
Right.
Because I'm like, well, that's because that's your niche, is that part of it. I'm only working with veterans who need a home loan, who are looking into investments kind of thing. So I'm niched down, but I could go one more, but I'm afraid if I go one more for what I do, that it's going to take it away from what I'm doing. My podcast definitely can go there.
It's interesting, right? Because that's the interesting point is, but I'm afraid, and hold on a minute, we're playing the game because we were afraid at this layer, we came in, it went up. We're afraid at this layer because there's 1% business owners, 6% that. What's that math out to? But there still might be 800,000 of them. And in that niche, with that sort of specificity, when you say it like that, you might be able to get 30% market share in that micro niche, which is even bigger again. And maybe the business owners are the better customers that are more profitable and da-da-da. So there's all these things. And so I just encourage I also think bank your wins. So if you just niche down and you're like, growing and it's working, it's like, let's stay there for a bit. But I think it's worth going like, what would happen on one of the shows or one of the podcasts if I go down a layer deeper? Like what happens there?
But I already did that with my Helping the Brave. I'm already there with that show.
Yeah.
And it's basically been, because I get it through Podmatch, all my guests now, and they're pretty much all some business owners.
Yeah, perfect.
And so then it's been better podcasts about talking about their transition and how they got into business and what they're doing, kind of like what we're talking about now, but add it one more layer, how I got here. And now everybody relates to you because they were military who listens to it. But what I'm getting at is that 800,000 is nationwide. In my industry, I have to be licensed in every state I do business in.
Right. Okay.
So that's when I run into some issues, but I've come up with t-shirt designs and other stuff that I've came up with that would sell across the country very well. So
yeah, I'm have you ever heard that saying, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail?
Yeah.
So I'm a bit of a hammer at the moment, but when I think about scalability for someone like you, who's obviously fucking smart and sharp and's got the platform and all this sort of stuff, I go, like, I wonder what it would look like, this like accelerator for mortgage brokers, where you're helping other people go and do what you've done in these 2 states or whatever, do it at the level you're doing it at for vets, etc. And then you're kind of, you're a layer up, and that's what's given our business.
That's how you make the most money in my industry, selling to us in our industry.
Yeah, that's pretty much in all the industries. If you can be the guy that holds the keys to the model and you sell the model, you get more cash faster up front, right? Like our business has a 75% net margin, and like an 8.5 NPS score, like an unheard of NPS score in the digital industry. So like, it's extremely expensive, but it's value. The value is there. These brands come out of it going, oh my God, this is fucking so much better than my alternatives. So I love that. And I've been we've got an AI accelerator we're developing, and we've got a guy that's come through, and he was in the New Zealand military, and he only discharged because of like a medical condition. And then he did some roofing, and he's done some other jobs, and he's like a mate of mine. We kickbox together, and he wanted to like build some income. And I'm like, dude, that niche, that military niche, I think is so beautiful because there's the brotherhood involved.
Yep.
Like,
yep. There's a trust built in. There's a trust built in, as long as you don't screw it up.
Yeah, as long as you don't screw it up, there's this inherent baked in trust. And like, if I can go, and so AI is blowing up, right? This AI automation. I'm like, dude, your niche, your competitive advantage. And we had the chat, right? Because he's like, hold on, well, I can't just go and just do army like that. There wouldn't be enough. I'm like, no, that's the secret. If you go, I help military business owners implement AI systems for efficiency so they can make more money and spend more time with their family, which is deep to his core. That's what he wants. He just wants to make more money so he can have more time with his kids. And I'm like, dude, you put that message out into the world, you'll find 15 military business owners that will work with you as their AI automation expert. No doubt, not a doubt in the world. And I think specifically that niche is powerful, and you can.
So when you say AI automation, what are you talking about exactly in AI? Finish your thought, and then I want to know that.
Yeah, cool. So we're doing from the big complex projects, we've got a project we're doing at the moment with a Sydney real estate firm to create a matching system between buyers agents and sellers agents in the back end, and so right now it's all a bit manual, but it's like we want the listing to go in and for it to get automatically matched and served. That's like at the complex end. And then at the bottom end, it's like, hey, here's how to create 4 custom GPTs and plug in a Filipino operations coordinator who, with those GPTs, can now write posts just as good as you, reply to proposals just as good as you, do all your bookkeeping just as good as you, like that. And then there's like kind of everything in between. But typically we're just doing like chatbot stuff, like API. Most AI automations guys, they love to talk about, like, we're not I'm not Elon.
You're not creating large language models and recreating everything. Yeah, because I've created so many GPTs myself because of stuff I do in my industry. Because our whole industry took a hit for the last 2 years, so we're doing more with less. I'm like, there's got to be a better way at this, and I came up with, and I'm like, okay, let's do this, and then I do it, and then I tell it, okay, help me write the prompt for my GPT, what we just went through. And then it writes the prompt. I save it as a GPT, and then now I have it to where I don't have to do it anymore.
And so, what percentage of like mortgage brokers or real estate professionals do you think are using AI at the level you are?
maybe. Well, there's one person I know that's pushing it through this marketing animals and they started, I was way advanced than them because I started in November when it first came out. I was like, dude, you know what you can do with this? And I created a couple of GPTs for agents to just drop in the listing address and any changes, and it writes all the posts for them.
Boom. Like shit like that. It's like, that's 3 hours. So now I've got 3 hours to make calls, do networking,
Right.
I don't have time to make content. Wow. If we take these manual tasks off you, and you're obviously an innovator, right? You're like at the front of the curve.
Right.
And
I do
so
it now with podcasts too. I don't anymore. I just take your web page, your Podmatch page, my theme on my podcast, because I have multiple, and drop it in it, and it writes everything I need to know about you.
yeah, epic. And so it's that. It's like this stuff, it reminds me of what it was like in 2014 with Facebook. You just open the door to Facebook, and because no one else is doing it, boom, like you were making money. It's the same thing. Like there's all these military business owners, and they're just not there. They're not looking at, they don't really understand. It's like, boom, here's the API to OpenAI. We do a lot of stuff with this thing called Bubble. It's a no-code development platform. And it's fucking, mate, it's not, again, it's not rocket science, but if you're doing nothing with no code and nothing with AI, it's kind of, oh, where do I start? How do I do it?
Right.
So, yeah, I think that idea of communities, and like, you want to build a business today, how can you go back through your career? And I think if there's military vets specifically listening to this, like, you guys have a niche. These are pre-built in, amazing niche right there, because there's quite a lot of them. And the thing I love about the thing that I was saying to Sam is like, man, when we get you going with this AI automation agency, I reckon military veterans on average are going to be better. They're going to be solid clients, because you give them a bearing and they go. Like, I was like, what do you think your biggest advantage will be? He's like, well, you give me a bearing, I'll walk. He's like, and I was like, I love that. And a lot of the way where I've failed in my career with business owners trying to, especially
Dude,
when
you're
you're
so young. I don't hear you failing yet in your career. You're so young. So move on.
Yeah, thank you, my friend. I need that. We where I've misstepped or where I haven't been able to get that transformative outcomes I want to, it's not because the thing doesn't work. It's because the person doesn't do the thing. And so I think that's a real advantage as well. And again, maybe I've just got an N of one, but I am so far working with like this military guy in business. I'm like, fuck, I just give you the thing and you do it, and then you come back and you go, what next?
Right.
And I'm like, if
And that's how it is. That's how it is with them. And you connect so easily. And you ask them for something and it's there. They bring it. They don't mess around. It's just, but I mean, there's so many things like that. American bully owners, dogs. There's so many, you just have to niche down to what that is,
Yeah. I was just on a podcast, and he's Italian, like Italians passionate about spaghetti sauce. There's a community, like, you look hard enough, you'll find community anywhere. And for me, a big part, like we do our communities on School. I don't know if you heard like the School platform. Yeah. And so,
like, who doesn't know Alex Homosi?
yeah, the guy, right? The main guy. He's the man. So we build our communities on School, and then we build our e-commerce brands on Shopify. And my kind of pitch to a lot of these brands is, hey, you've thrived due to the inherent efficiency of the Meta platform over the last 14 years. That's declining. What are you going to do to replace it? Like, what's the plan here? And my view is that it's community. That's how you generate leverage. Is you've got an owned community, like you said, first party data. You can connect with them deeper. And why not build a course or a digital product that fulfills on the brand promise of your physical product? Like I give an analogy, and brands get it straight away. Like, hey, you're selling a magnesium supplement and you're going to sell it for $150, and we're going to make all these crazy ads to promise the world, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then if I get your client to put his phone down half an hour before bed and just get half an hour extra sleep time per night, I'm going to achieve better health outcomes than your magnesium supplement. So why not in a world where customer acquisition is getting harder. A lot of brands think they're acquiring customers. They're not. They're acquiring purchases. You're going to have to go back and pay Zuckerberg again to get that purchase again. But if you can build this program that fulfills the promise of your physical product and vice versa, now there's some leverage there. Now you've got this additional thing. You've got some margin support because you don't have to have a discount. You give away this like $300 a month sleep fucking community with your magnesium supplement. So I think you're dead on the money in terms of the future of online activity being your ability to create a community. And it's going to have to be tight and niche because otherwise you'll get out-competed. Your big bloated community will get sucked out by the smaller ones that are more specific.
And that's like the one I'm doing with my Operation Firewalk. In order to join the community, you had to walk at one of our events.
Yeah, cool.
So not anybody could then, because our goal is to, or actually they told me my goal was it's going to, you've heard of Woodstock, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's what will be the Woodstock of firewalking for veterans.
Not 69 though.
Huh?
Which
no, I'm saying how big that event was in the middle of nowhere where everybody came from all over the world to come to it is exactly what we're going to do with this is basically what they're saying.
That's cool, man. Yeah. And I love that you're saying that as well. Like they told me what the purpose was.
Yeah, right? Because I started it last year for my Rotary and they're like, okay. And then I have so many people like, how big this can get? We'll have all these different rooms where we can talk about all the different things that you can go do that aren't technically legal in the United States, but they help veterans deal with their PTSD. And I'm at the point, I don't care what you do to deal with it and help you with it. I don't care if you have to go to the country to do these different types of drugs and it helps you, then do it. And, things like that, all those things that we want to help veterans with. And they want to have breakout sessions. The way we're doing it now, we only have 2 speakers. And then at the end of the night, we walk out and do the cool thing. It's still a great thing, but they just want to grow it so big.
Yeah.
So
dude, I think that's fantastic. This might be an absolute niche, but I'd read a lot about Ibogaine being this insanely productive PTSD treatment. Have you heard of Ibogaine before?
No, I haven't heard of Ibogaine.
Yeah, it's interesting. Have a look into it. It's like a ayahuasca style
sort of. Oh, it's like ayahuasca. Okay,
like a plant medicine thing, and the efficacy rates are like insane. People as well, like heroin addicts and like really strong addicts, they go in. Apparently, it's like a 36-hour deep inward tough experience, and they come out with like 80-90% efficacy rates. And I look at stuff like that and I love that as well. Like that's where we should be focusing, not on not on these existing modalities that are all wrapped in the industrial cash money complex, right? And they know like the success rates just aren't there. But I think maybe with the new administration and maybe there's a new direction where some of this stuff is actually going to become
like it won't become legal, but it'll be able to get to do what we need to do. Simon, hold on one second. Yeah, with the people who are coming into this administration, it is going to change drastically because one of the biggest problems we have right now is so people don't realize when I got in the military back in the early 90s and during even in the 80s when people were in San Diego, there'd be signs on people's grasses that said, "Keep your sailor and your dog off my grass." That's how negative it was, right? And during the 2000 with the Obama administration, they didn't care about the vets. And then Trump got in and loved the vets. And I know all these statements you hear that he said wasn't true. We won't get into all that. We don't have enough time. Yeah. But the whole thing is we want to, we served our country. Now take care of us. And that's all, I always say this. You've seen Rambo, right? The movie Rambo. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it was the second one. He asked him, "John, what do you want?" He goes, "I want what every other person who came over here spilled their blood for this country, for my country to love me as much as I love it." And that's basically all we want. We sign online to serve our country, to give back. And we want to, if we need to be taken care of, take care of us. Don't not take care of us. And that's the problem. The VA system's set up to kill vets, unfortunately.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And so I when I got out of the military, I ran away from it. And then I came back to it a few years ago because it was like, we need to do more for our vets. We need to do more for this. And even my Rotary, my whole year was all about helping vets in our community.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
But it's about community. I mean, just like I said, community, the community you talked about, you have to have that and build it off the social media places.
yeah. You know, it just makes sense. Like, yeah, I'm just kind of like absorbing that because it's pretty gravitas in that statement. You know, the VA's built to kill these vets. And it's like, fuck,
They don't
really?
mean to. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They don't mean to, but that's the bureaucracy is just there. It's like the postal service in the United States. It sucks. It's so bad. It costs $2 billion. They lose money every year, and they still can't get it to work right. Privatize that damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we'll get in the postal business, the community of posties.
They're already in the postal business.
Yeah, no, for
Amazon
sure.
can just pick up the post office. They're already using them anyway.
And yeah, the sad bit is the bureaucracy restricting access to like these proven modalities, because I think that even the theme of this podcast is people with deep trauma and pain that can get to the point when they've been through shit, really tough shit. I think the tougher the shit you've been through, if you can integrate it and come to peace with it and show up despite it, those are the most powerful individuals we have in our society, right? The strong men and women. Those are the people that can do a lot with the world, because your biggest fucking pains and disasters become fuel if integrated correctly. And so it's just, I don't know, I find it very sad that in a time where access to technology and all these modalities, there was a time where for most of existence, you couldn't fix all the things, but we've actually got the tools and stuff now to fix them. So I think the only way to achieve it really is doing what you're doing, and then how do you inspire more veteran business owners to do more of the same thing, right? Or not even like, and I mean, just going beyond the veteran community, like how do you integrate the disasters in your life to become stronger and then help other people do the same?
Right. That's what you're on. Inner Edison, your greatest accomplishments come from your greatest defeats. I mean, what you went through and lost a couple businesses have taught you how to come on the other side of it and know what not to do now, and dealing with things that you need to deal with, whether it's from childhood or whatever those issues have been in your life. Those are things that you need to deal with, and we don't deal with those things. We just shove them under the rug until somebody trips over them.
Yeah. Oh, I kept tripping over my own rug, right? At this big fucking rug. It got full. It was full. It was rolled up. You couldn't get in the front door because the welcome mat's rolled up so tight. Yeah, and for me, like I guess I touched on it earlier. It's been an interesting journey, consistently avoiding the internal work, avoiding the like with my therapist, I catch up with him weekly now, and I'm not supposed to call my therapist. He's my behavioral strategist because he's not a clinical therapist. And we're doing inner child meditations and looking, for all the worst things that have happened, looking for the bright side, and for all the best things that have happened, looking for the negative side, and just trying to balance out. And it's all culminated in this really simple thing that I do now, where instead of focusing on all my potential and what I can achieve and what I need to do, I'm just going to show up as me. I'm actually just going to show up. And when you watched YouTube today and you avoided the task and you sucked, that guilt and pain and shame cycle, like, oh no, it kind of makes sense that I did that. And that's all good. Not a biggie. Like I used to get into these spirals, these kind of downward spirals of negative emotion, and it would capture me for fucking, in my younger years, for months at a time. I would be like in one, and then it was weeks, and then it was days, and now I've gotten to a point where it's no more than a day. I had a bit of was it yesterday? Yesterday I fucking had just a shit day, and so I moved some meetings, went and had a nap, got up, went again. But like at a previous time in my life, I would have been so angry and in that like guilty, shamey place that I'm having a bad day, that bad day would continue. I don't know if I'm making any sense with this.
No, you're totally making sense. I just don't want to interrupt you while you're talking.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, it's
because the question. So I would tell you, Tucker Maxis. Ever heard of him? He was the New York best time seller, and he actually owned a company called Scribe, which actually would write your books for you. He sold it and everything.
Yeah.
He did ayahuasca and it changed his life.
Yeah.
And he no military, but there was stuff that happened to him he had no idea about, and it just allowed him to deal with it and be okay with it. And so I'm just saying, whatever worked for you, if you can, go do it and deal with those things, deal with them, because it just messes with you. A lot of people, and might offend somebody, but if you're Catholic, you have a lot of guilt. Give up Catholic. Don't have the guilt. You don't need the guilt. You don't need to be any of that stuff. We have enough as it is with life. We don't need to guilt ourselves into worrying about what we do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're Catholic, but I'm just saying a lot of them have a lot of friends. My wife was Catholic. She's like, she gave it up for Catholicism. She gave up for Lent to Catholicism. So
yeah, it's I'm not too up to
yeah. So anyway, if you're Catholic, you for Lent, you give something up. She gave she asked
the whole
gave up the whole religion for that.
Yeah, nice. Well done. Maybe she'll still when she knocks on the pearly gates, maybe it'll still work out. I don't know. I think that ayahuasca is an interesting one. Like, it didn't work for me, but maybe it was my intention.
You did try it? Okay.
Yeah, I did a 7-day ayahuasca retreat. I've done a lot of psilocybin. I've run ultra marathons, 3 kickboxing fights. I love kickboxing now. I do that more. And a mentor put an extreme amount of energy into me, but a lot of the intention for me with the, like, especially the psychedelic, the plant medicines I utilized, I wanted the quick fix. Like, I wanted to go in, do the thing, get fucking fixed, and then turn up to work and be sweet. And that, I think, is an immature perspective. And so maybe if I'd done more, it definitely was a brick in the wall. And it's like, this is all quite new for me. It's happening this year. Like, it's insane to me how potent and how large of an impact this, like, self-love, like acceptance of self, is having. Even though I knew it, there's like a difference between knowing something and believing it. Do you know what I mean? There's like a different feeling with it. And so it's almost like I built this real foundation, this real base, like running marathons and kickboxing and all these like tough things where I'm like, I'm gonna get control of this part of me that, doesn't want to do the thing. And then now, having done this internal work to like go and like become at peace and be willing to like show up and let it flow, that foundation is now like a superpower. Because and I just wonder how many other people out there are, it's a little bit like the niching down thing, like it's counterintuitive, like, isn't that going to make me less money? Well, like the accepting yourself and not holding on so tight and just like letting it flow and just like, actually, I'm not going to focus on like trying to get some money really fast. I'm just going to like show up and be the fullest expression of myself. And then what do you know? Like, it all starts to actually almost effortlessly flow, So I just wonder, like, how many people out there just need to actually go and just do that internal work. Probably fucking most of us, right?
A lot of people.
Yeah.
So most people go in the military because something happened to them.
Right. Yeah.
That's why. No sane person runs towards danger.
Yeah.
So, and that's how the VA's gotten away with not helping them with PTSD and other things. Because if they're like, "What? How was your childhood?" Well, I had this. Oh, so this is from your childhood? No, I had something that happened in my childhood, but the military experience exacerbated it to the point where it was worse. You still need to, and so whenever you deal with the VA, you don't tell them that your childhood was bad, but you need to work on your childhood. issues in order to be okay with getting rid of your PTSD, because it's all some of it's related. Now, I'm not saying a lot of it, but I've found the people I talk to, 80% of the people I've spoken to that had something happen to them in their childhood.
Right. Okay. And it was in there, and then it was kind of just turned into a bigger monster.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which makes sense. Mine was because I always was like, my child was pretty good. Like I got a little bit bullied, whatever, but I did a bit of bullying. Like I wasn't a perfect kid. And what we unpacked for me, and it was so interesting, is like I'd got told my whole life by all the teachers, it was all about potential. It was like, fuck, he's very smart, and like, but he doesn't do his homework, and he doesn't do this, and he's always talking in class, and blah, 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 blah. And so it was all about potential constantly. Like, you're not living into your potential. And then in my life, and then as we started to unpack, like everything I've done has been about like potential. Like the businesses I've run, and I've got this MMA gym, and we've got a youth program, and we've like that we bring these kids to, and we trick them into, they think they're coming to learn to fight, but they get taught discipline and goal setting and shit like that. And so that's just like trying to help kids reach their potential. But for me, as we unpacked it, like, why do I build this business to the certain point and then like just fucking basically turn off, go avoidant, and let it crumble to nothing, and then survival instinct, I suppose, kicks in, and I build another one, and I do it reliably. Like it's not flukes at this point. You do it 4 times in a row, it's not a fluke. So why is that happening? And we kind of got to the point where it's like the formative years, it was drilled in that you have all this potential. It's so important. It's what makes you up. Like, it's not just enough to be yourself. You've got to fulfill the potential. And the only way to guarantee that you do, in fact, have the potential that you've been told is so uncritical is if you never step into it. Like, even if you've got a 99.999% chance of success, if you go in, if you try your hardest and it doesn't work out, you're putting your potential on the table, versus never stepping into it ever and just oscillating here. At the end of the day, you can always go, oh yeah, but I had all that potential. You never found out. You never put it on the line. And fucking from that specific, it was like it all happened in this kind of inner child meditation. And from that, it was the 16th of October. It was like a step change, like in different internal self-talk. Like, I'd be able to catch and go, oh, those are pretty negative thoughts. Like, why are we doing that? Maybe we'll just go into the meeting and see how it flows. It'll be good. Just be yourself. It was like literally a step change. And I don't know. It's been pretty recent for me. And I've put in I've put a disgusting amount of 80, 90, 100-hour weeks, fucking hard, white knuckling life. And then I go and explore myself and make peace with my inner child and go, no, it's all good. Just show up as yourself, mate. And then everything's working. It's like, fuck, I want to tell people that. I'm like, please do that thing. Like,
I thought you were going to say you just found out that you like to build it and then let somebody else run it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of those people out there who are really good at building a company, but are not good at running a company.
Yeah. Well,
it's two separate individuals. I'm an idea guy, and I can sell the idea. That's basically who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not I got to manage you. I can't manage people. That's just not who I am.
Yeah, well, I did. I mean, that was part of my sabotage cycle. I brought a general manager into Fitwear. I brought a CEO into Glass Elephant. I would bring them in too early, and then I would switch off, and then I would almost like subtly like not give them full control. But like it was murky and it was fucked. And so yeah, I'm probably more of a builder than a runner. But with this latest business, I've gone, you're going to build it, you're going to run it, you're going to stay in it, you're going to show up as yourself, and we've just got a really specific goal, 1.2 mil net profit a year, annual. Like, just pull that in, and it's within reach, and then from there, from that platform, after really baking it in and establishing the culture, then maybe you can, instead of like bring someone in quickly and be like, right, you run it now.
Well, I didn't say that. I didn't mean
yeah, I know you didn't say that, but that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to
here's the ball, now run with it.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna tell you what game we're playing, but just run with the damn ball.
and I'm going to give you like conflicting advice from the sideline, and it was like basically me having white line fever. I had the ball, I was ready to put it out. Fucking oof,
So what we've learned today is not everybody's perfect, and you have to work on stuff all the way through, no matter who you are, and deal with stuff. Yeah.
And you will continue to. And the sooner you realize that the game is not getting to the destination where you stop working on stuff, but the game is just waking up and working on stuff all the time and enjoying it for that. That's the key. That's where I got to this year. Oh, I'm here now. Like I'm where I wanted to be. Like I'm healthy, family's healthy, we're making progress, we're growing, we're living, this is it. We're there. And that's been the seismic shift for me.
Simon, cool, how do people find you? Or do you want people to find you?
Yeah, people can find me. People can find me on Twitter.
You do agencies all over the world or only in New Zealand?
Yeah, we work with e-commerce brands from Australia, New Zealand, US, Canada, UK, and Europe. That's where we have our
everywhere.
3PL. Yeah, we have 3PL facilities in those countries as well. So that's where we.
The name of your company, 3PL?
No, the name.
3PL? What's a 3PL?
A 3PL third-party logistics outfit. So we have warehouses, and you put our stock, you put your stock with us. We take the order from Shopify and we fulfill it for you, so you don't have to touch all the mechanical operations. That business is called Supply Chain Solutions Global, and then we have the E-Commerce Accelerator. So the idea is you can come and have a chat to me about your brand, and I can get you focused on where you should be, which is product innovation, building your community, creating content, doing the valuable business ownership, and then we're going to look after the technical supply chain and the technical advertising and marketing. Or at least equip you with the skills to do that, so you don't have to keep fucking around with all these dickhead agencies.
All right. So how do the people find you again?
Twitter or Instagram, Simon John Phillips. You'll have to search pretty hard because there's a famous drummer named Simon John Phillips. He was the man. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter.
All right, well, fine. And then name of your company again?
The E-Commerce Accelerator.
There you go. .com, .uk, what?
We're .com. Yeah, we're the ecommerceaccelerator.com.
Okay. Then check out his stuff. I'll also have it in the show notes for everybody. Simon, thank you so much for being on the show today. Really appreciate getting to know you.
Yeah, awesome, man. It was great. Thanks for the time.
Don't run away. I want to talk to you afterwards.